Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I want to talk about ways you can save for traveling, for trips, whether it's flights, whether it's accommodation. I just want to give, my special tips here on how you can save. So let's get straight into the video. So the first thing is obviously flights. So if you are planning a trip abroad, obviously the best thing to do is book your flights in advance. I'm not talking about a week in advance. I'm talking about a few months or even a year in advance. You can get pretty good discounts that way. And I know a lot of you will probably do that anyway, but if you're really new to travel or you haven't traveled outside the country before, this is a big win to gain. You could save a few hundred if you do this. Also, another good way is if you go on to websites like Skyscanner or Kayak, you can obviously pop in your destination there, but there's also ways where you can just click you want to go everywhere or you want to see everywhere. And that's actually a really good tip because you may not think, of a certain country. You might have Italy in the back of your head, but the Italian flights could be £300 because it's a popular destination at that time. But if you type in, you want to see everywhere on the map on some of these comparison websites for flights, you can find the cheapest countries that way and they'll be equally as beautiful. You really want to travel in the month of March, and then all you have to do is filter on March and filter on everywhere, and you can see the cheapest flights everywhere in the world. It's a really cool trick. I've definitely done this before. I've been to places that I never thought I would get to go because I found, £40 flights, and it was absolutely amazing trips. So maybe have a bit of an open mind when you want to travel, and especially if you're on a budget, this is a really good hack. Another thing to think about, if you do have your mindset on a certain country, maybe look at different airports within that country. Let's say for America is a pretty big place. It has loads and loads of international airports. Maybe you had your mindset on New York, but maybe if I don't know, what would be the nearest airport near there? Washington? Do they have an airport? I don't even know. You'd have to go onto the actual website, but if you put in whole countries, they will show you, the 5, 10, 15 different airports within that country. And a lot of the time, somewhere that's an hour away could be a lot cheaper than flying directly to the most expensive city. So have a bit of a think, and especially if you want to do a road trip, this is so easy to do because if you fly into a lesser known airport, but it's an hour away from where you want to be, you're going to rent a car anyway, the rental car will be cheaper in, the less famous destination versus the one that's incredibly popular. So again, keep, your mind open, especially if you want to go to a particular country, but maybe you get to see a different part of that culture that you hadn't already thought of before. Another thing to think about is if you are gung-ho and want to go in the month of March, as I said, but maybe be flexible on those dates. So maybe originally you wanted to go from the 20th of March to the 30th of March. There is an option on Skyscanner and Kayak where you can be flexible with these. So they will check, -3 days after the 20th and +3 days after the 20th. So, you have a little bit of leeway, and sometimes you do save, at least £100 by going, a day earlier and coming back a day earlier, or vice versa. So don't be too set on the dates, and you tend to get better savings that way. And this also works when you use the flexible feature on Skyscanner or Kayak as well. So you can literally choose the whole month of May, and then when you press search, it will show you, every day in the month of May when there are flights out from, let's say, London to Rome. It will show you all of those single flight costs. So it could be £100 on a Saturday, but if you go on a Wednesday, it could be £30 because less people want to travel on a Wednesday. So again, if you are flexible with the dates, this is a pretty good way to save a fair bit of money. So once you get to the destination that you want to go to and you've booked your flights, you're now thinking about, okay, accommodation wise, where am I going to stay? Now, a lot of people will automatically think of hotels and book a hotel. However, if you do this, that means you have to buy in restaurants, buy in cafes and bars when you're out in that country. And of course, it's a holiday, you may want to do that. But if you are on a budget, the best way to do it is to maybe rent an apartment, or maybe even rent a room in someone else's apartment so you can use their kitchen. This is something that I would 9 times out of 10 do. We would go on Airbnb, look for, either studio apartments or one bed apartments if it's just myself and a friend going or whatever. And this way you can cook breakfast, you can cook dinner, and then maybe if you're going for a week, maybe 2 or 3 of the nights you'll go out for dinner in a restaurant because you're on holiday, you want to do those things. But for the other days, where you just want some eggs in the morning or maybe some snacks to have a fridge nearby, it honestly will save you a chunk of money. And 9 times out of 10, the local food in the supermarkets is actually pretty delicious. Like if you're going to Italy, the Parma ham in the restaurant will be just as nice as in the supermarket. So that is always a win. And my last tip then is if you are going with a big group of people. So if you want to rent a house, for example, if it's just you or if it's a couple of people, the renting a house can be incredibly expensive. However, if you manage to gather like 10 or 15 friends, you can rent a chateau in France, and have, 5 different rooms for 5 different couples. And I've heard people who only pay like £50 a night by doing that. I got to go to Morocco recently, which was absolutely amazing. And we had a 3-story house, and I only paid £20 per night. And it was absolutely amazing because there was more people to split the costs. We all had a better experience and, more space because we were able to split up, a house cost that way. So those are my tips on travel. If you've any more, please pop them down below. I'll also be doing another video on this in the future where I talk about, other good websites where it's good to book through so you get a discount. Obviously things like booking.com, you may have noticed that the more times you book on booking.com, the more discounts you actually get. And you can book apartments on booking.com as well. It's not just hotels. I'm not affiliated with any of these websites. These are just ones that I tend to use. I'm a really new channel and I talk about personal finance, how best to spend or save your money. So if you want to hear more about those bits, please subscribe. That'd be great. But yeah, I post 2 videos a week, so I'll hopefully see you soon. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.